Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. Today, I have a really special video. Check this out. Sycomore. I have Sycomore. I have Sycomore. And I have Sycomore. I actually do have way more bottles of Sycomore, but I'm going to need these four to do a special review comparison. Okay, so first subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can also follow me on Patreon, superdacob all spelled together for extra perks. My tier 2 patrons and tier 2 members for my main channel are actually seeing this video first before anybody else and are in the live chats right now. So consider joining so you can also join the live chats. Hi chat. So you guys, we're talking Sycomore. Okay, listen. As I was preparing to do my top 10 Chanel perfumes for spring, I was digging through my archives and I found this. Oh my God. Okay, so you guys, and I lifted up because I was actually looking for another perfume. I was looking for 1957. And so they're kind of standing all from the top like this. And I pulled this one out and I'm like, oh, Sycomore. I've been looking for this one. And I'm like, damn, the juice has turned real dark. I have this one. So by the way, this is the eau de toilette, okay, concentration. I have Sycomore. I've been using Sycomore since it was released in the late 2000s, like 2007, 2006, 2007. This is batch code 6201. The batch codes repeat every 8 to 9 years. So you do the math. But this one was, I probably bought this one around 2012, 2010. I'm not so sure anymore, but oh my gosh. Okay. So what I did was I took it out. I'm like, damn, it's dark, because let me compare it to the new batch 7701 of the eau de parfum. Okay. So if I put them next to each other, I know it's a little bit difficult because one is a smaller bottle than the other. So obviously one has more liquid that you have to, but even though this is a smaller bottle, it's not as thick as this one. There's not so much juice in there. It still looks darker than the current eau de parfum, okay? So look at this. What a vibe, okay? So this is I bought this last year, November or something, Sycomore eau de parfum. I have the eau de toilette as well. 200 ml bottle. It's getting darker, but it's still not as dark as this one. This is batch 0301, and this is batch 6201. And then we, of course, have the newly launched Parfum, which is like super light in color, but that's just because, and it's full of my skin already because I just, I dab it on. And so it gets your little dust and residue in it. So it is a little bit gross, but it's mine, so it's fine. Oh, little rhyme. But anyway, what I wanted to say is I saw the juice and I was like, wow. Let me spray it on. Oh my God. It kills me that Chanel has killed this perfume. You know what I mean? This batch code 6201, not from 2 or 3 years ago, we're talking a decade ago, right? Is the, okay, how to describe this thing? First of all, it's resinousy. It almost has a resinous benzoin accord in it. It is ripe, full. It is a vetiver that has aged, okay? The violet is oily. This is not a dry violet flower, okay? This is an oily violet flower. Hold on, my shirt is really annoying me in the back. It is, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm looking at it's oily on my skin. It's literally, I mean, you can't see it because the lights here are insanely strong, but it is glistening like an oil on my skin. It's not even getting absorbed. It almost has that concentrated oily consistency. I'm telling you, this is, Chanel used to really, when they first released these perfumes back in 26, 27, they really, really delivered something magical. They pumped these fragrances with higher concentrations of everything they needed to do to make this a collection a success. Okay, when the collection was first launched, they only had 200 milliliter bottles. Then we all complained and said, but we need smaller bottles to fly because they won't let us take these on board, the 200 mLs. So then Chanel delivered the 75 mLs several years later after the launch. But when they were first launched in their 200 milliliter form, they smelled beyond concentrated, intense. The character was there. The ingredients were beyond top notch. I mean, we're talking like you could smell that that Chanel was really trying hard to bring something to the table that was top-notch quality. Then throughout the years, the prices started going up. The quality started kind of going down. It was Chanel who started watering down their eau de toilettes up until 2016 when they said, you're all complaining that the perfumes are too weak, so now we're going to introduce the eau de parfums. And I'm like, you're lying. Allegedly, of course. Everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, just my opinion, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged. But I was saying to myself, I have your first formulations. I've been a customer of yours since you introduced this collection. I know how you've been watering them down. How with every fourth, fifth new batch, it would smell weaker and weaker. And now in 2016, when Louis Vuitton announced that they're releasing and launching their first perfume sets and collection being eau de parfums, and since Dior turned all of their collection privée perfumes into eau de parfums, Chanel, of course, also had to do the same. I was like, I want to do eau de parfums too. Why did they do that? To up the prices, to be able to have a huge price increase. And that's what they did. And basically, what is so funny is that the eau de parfums, for the most part, were just terrible. In fact, the first version of Sycomore eau de parfum was a travesty. I could not stand it. I thought it was really, really vile. It was just disgusting. I could not smell it. It was terrible for many, many, many years. So since 2016 up until 2022. What happened in 2022? You might ask yourselves. Well, in 2022, Chanel releases the extrait or the parfum version of Sycomore. For the first time ever, they launch Sycomore Parfum in 2022. I try it, I smell it, and I say to myself, oh, this smells like a more concentrated version of the eau de toilette. Interesting. We'll go. Okay. Let me re-sniff the eau de parfum. This is eau de toilette. I re-sniff the eau de parfum, and I smell out the difference. And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. the eau de parfum doesn't smell the same as it used to smell in 2016, 2017. They have tweaked the formula yet again. But thankfully, though, this time around, they tweaked it for the better, at least for my standards. Meaning the eau de parfum is now much closer to the later version of the eau de toilette than it used to be back in 2016, 2017. I know it's a little bit hard to follow, but for somebody who's so obsessed with Chanel, especially with Sycomore, for me, it's like kind of, I geek out on these things, okay? I'm a nerd about this stuff. But so it is different, okay? The violet is more amped in the eau de parfum. There's less of that expensive, delicious vetiver in there. And we're light years away from the first versions, the first couple of years of this fragrance. Oh my God. Okay. It smells of going to the beach, Mediterranean, seaside. There's a special type of pine tree that grows really close to the water. And it is a relatively low-growing tree. The trunk is kind of thin, but then it kind of spreads out really, really wide. It's a beautiful plant that has been portrayed many times in the 50s. It's kind of a symbol of the 50s and 60s. And it grows relatively close to the water. The pines of that tree are particularly resinousy, and they have a specific type of smell. Almost like a dusty honey accord. It's a green, earthy accord that has kind of all of that resin, that kind of sticky, gooey resin emanating a particular type of a gorgeous Mediterranean, ocean, salty, honeyed mix smell. Combine that with vetiver, add some violet, and you got yourself the original Sycomore. It's not cypress, sweet things. No, no. It has nothing to do with cypress. Somebody's in the chat asking if it's cypress. It's not cypress. The woodsy accord in this older batch of Sycomore Eau de Parfum is so deep. Like you're going beyond the wet vetiver root, which is what I adore from Sycomore, that wet vetiver that Sycomore has. I adore it. But this goes further. This goes, okay, the fresh, wet roots on the surface of the vetiver, yes, we're there, but this one goes even deeper. Let's go even deeper where it's dry, where there's dry soil, even deeper and deeper and deeper. This one keeps digging and digging and digging. It goes level under level under level. And this is one of the reasons why I started a series on my main Super Dacob channel, but I will be reposting those videos also to my Essentially Dacob Perfume YouTube channel as well. I started a series of kind of visual video poems of reviews of Sycomore. It almost looks like ad campaigns. Of course, I'm not sponsored by Chanel. I bought these perfumes on my own, but I did these short, like 3 to 7 minute videos showcasing the mood inside Sycomore. And in fact, I called these videos Inside Sycomore Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. There's a ton of these parts. And with every part, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the roots of this gorgeous perfume. And the older batches of the Eau de Toilette really go there. They really go so deep. Majestic. The Eau de Toilette has that violet accord, but it's dry, while the Eau de Parfum was famous for its violet accord, but like wet and warm. And now we have the combination when I have, so we have the old school Sycomore, and then we can combine the old school Sycomore with just the smell out of the bottle of the current eau de parfum. As gorgeous as the current eau de parfum is, it's not. This one is drifting more away from vetiver and it's going more towards violet. You know what I mean? But what we had before with Sycomore was, oh my gosh, we had a vetiver that was the best vetiver I've ever smelled in my life. I mean, this thing is just vetiver with resins and pine needles and a salty breeze somewhere in the distance, and the dry, earthy, almost sandy type of earth soil surrounding these pine trees. This thing it's a dream. It literally takes you to a cocoon, and there's no wind on this beach. You are surrounded by still air. It is warm, not hot. It does not push you over the edge. You're not sweating, but you're comfortable enough to literally be naked. It's the most perfect temperature, perfect humidity. You hear the crickets in the background. You do hear the buzzing of some bees or bumblebees in the background as well, but nobody's bothering you. No insect is bothering you. You are completely in your element. You're one with nature. I mean, this thing is that good. It's that good. Divine. Debbie says, yes, it made vetiver for me. Yeah, this is how you do vetiver, you guys. So I just wanted to say this. Now, let me, next to it, spray my other eau de toilette, just to see if it has. This one is already, it's a younger batch, this eau de toilette. It's already less strong. So the batch 0301 is less strong than 6201. So after 6201 was released, then they had to have the 7, 8, 9, and then the 0 batches. So this is kind of like 4 years later, more or less, than this one. So in those 4 years, they managed to water them down quite a bit. But nevertheless, I love it. I still love it, even though it's wetter. It has less of that resinousy, dry, breezy accord. And then, if we put the extrait on the inner side of my wrist, well, we're probably not going to smell any. You know what? Let me just dip it. Let me zip it and zoo it. All right. It's beautiful, but almost more peppery. It has more of a stingy, dry accord in it. I adore it as well. And of course, the violet becomes super prominent later on. But it's less intense than, I mean, could you imagine? Now, I know a lot of you might say, well, this has to do with the fact that the bottle is older, what have you. But I can tell you guys, this is how this thing smelled already when it was new. Yes, the color might have gotten a little bit darker now, but the smell is still there. And what we get with the current Sycomore parfum is almost more of a beauty salon version of Sycomore. It's more refined and more floral now, right? It's becoming more floral here and less vetiver. It almost feels as though as the perfume was produced over and over and over again with every new batch, they would kind of tone down the expensive, really best, highest quality of vetiver. And they would tone it down until we were left with more kind of something violet-y than vetiver-y. But smelling all three of them together is mind-blowing. Actually, we still have to also spray the eau de parfum, and I can do that here. Okay, so now we have all four. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's the older one for me. If you can hunt down really old batches of Sycomore Eau de Toilette, you're in for a very, very, very special, magical treat, really. Then, when Eau de Toilette, you know, towards the end phases of production of Eau de Toilette, because I bought one of the last batches ever made of the Eau de Toilette as well, which would be this one. Oh, sorry, this is Eau de Parfum. This one here. Batch code 0301. So this was right around, I want to say, yeah, 2016. This was one of the last batches of the Eau de Toilette ever made. Why do I know that? Because I have the first batch ever of Boy, which was released in 2016. And this batch of Boy that I have is 0401. So this was 2016, very early 2016 batch code. So this one is 0301. Purchased the same year. So this was purchased in 2016, right before they were going to discontinue the Eau de Toilette. So this is the last batch of Sycomore Eau de Toilette. And it is a shadow of itself, of what it used to be in the 6201 batch. It's just divine. Now, for the pure perfume, I also purchased the first batch ever made, which is 7601. The pure perfume is almost more synthetic. It has, I think, the higher concentration of some ingredients. I mean, whether it be some violet extract or essence or vetiver, does deliver a more candied accord. There's a slight type of candy accord there. And there's none of that in the, you know, older Eau de Toilette. The older Eau de Toilette dries down to a delicious woodsy, resinousy accord, right? And it is very, very... It's the vetiver that keeps it from becoming too warm. It's still cool because, you know, Sycomore is all about the cool smell, which is what made the Eau de Toilette so famous. But in the older versions of the Eau de Toilette, it's so alluring. It lures you into it. It's almost like Alice in Wonderland falling down that hole, that precipice, and just kind of all those hands grabbing it, and Alice keeps falling and falling and falling. And that's what you do when you wear the old school Sycomore. It's still oily on my, I want to say on my fist. It's completely oily. I don't know if I can come closer to the camera to show you guys how it glistens. I mean, maybe you can see it a little bit. It really, really glistens. And I sprayed it like how many? Like 10 minutes ago. It's still glistening on my skin. It hasn't absorbed yet. It's oily. So they have used very, very, very high concentrations of whatever they were using for Sycomore in the past. While now, with all the current versions, it's already gone. Like the eau de parfum, there's no oily residue. There's absolutely nothing left on my skin. Even the 2016 last edition of the Eau de Toilette, which I sprayed here, there's no oily residue. There's no high concentration there. So they've been cutting costs, in my humble opinion, okay? And it's a pity because... Let me tell you one thing. You know, Chanel had their price increases, a terrible one just a few weeks ago in the States and in Europe. And now these bottles cost you, you know, the $450 or $470 or a 380 euro, but then you got to add taxes. I mean, they used to be 330, right? They used to, actually, you know, when they were first released, they cost 200 euro per bottle. Okay, now they're almost at 400. And they're almost at $500, which is insane. But if they would bring back the OG highly concentrated Sycomore like it used to be in the eau de toilette form, then I would say, you know what? Fine. Charge me the $500. I want it. I want it. But if you keep watering your products down while at the same time upping your prices, then we have a problem, girl. Then we have a major, major problem because and I'm mind blown because I have the parfum here and the oldest eau de toilette here from my collection, right? When I first smell this, and then I go right to the parfum, and I smell the parfum, it's like night and day. They are so different. They could not be more different. And because of this, I also smell out how synthetic the extrait is as compared to the eau de toilette. And it breaks my heart. And I love my parfum, don't get me wrong, but you should never wear them next to each other, because when you wear them next to each other, the older eau de toilette literally shames the parfum, shames it. Now, another thing I want to say, you know, Chanel is now trying to also on their website, when they talk about Sycomore, they say, you know, Sycomore was already released in the 40s by Chanel, and now it's coming back. That was a different perfume, you guys. Has nothing to do, the Chanel Sycomore from the 40s, or was it 30s? No, I think it was 40s, has nothing to do with the Sycomore of today. Chanel just used the same name, but it is not like a re-edition of the Sycomore from the 40s. It's a completely different fragrance. Okay, just to be very clear about that. They're not very clear about that in their description on their website, which is also very shady. They're making it sound like this is one of the heritage perfumes of Chanel. No. The vetiver-based and violet-based version of Sycomore today has nothing to do with the Sycomore from the 30s/40s. Having said that, Kev says they must still have the OG archived somewhere. So by OG, they probably still have the 40s version of Sycomore formula somewhere archived, but they also for sure have the 2007 or 2006 formula as well. Maybe certain raw materials are not available to them anymore, or they just prefer to use substitutes for them instead of what they used to use back in the day. Or maybe some distributor went out of business or just stopped producing a certain component, so they couldn't get that specific component, so they had to look for alternative components, which, of course, you know, one tiny molecule of a change in your formula will make the whole perfume smell different. So you could imagine if you can't get a certain raw material that you needed for your perfume anymore, and you have to find a substitute for it, you can imagine how much that's going to make your perfume smell different. So I'm not so sure what exactly Chanel did in terms of changing and modifying this fragrance, but I can tell you this, it sure as heck smelled a lot better back in the day. Okay, so it's just so divine. And then the last version of Sycomore Eau de Toilette is much lighter. And then we have the Eau de Parfum Violet Accord reminiscent of the Eau de Toilette, but a different perfume. I still love the current version of the current version of the Eau de Parfum is awesome, but and now they up their prices, and I'm like, what for, Chanel? It ain't it. But the real winner is this little guy here. And this is all I have left of it. Look, I have like half a bottle left. So you best believe I'm going to use it sparingly. Let me do a little thumbnail moment as well, just in case I might need this. Hold on. And then center as well. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Okay, we did that just in case for the video. But I got to tell you, Eau de Toilette 6201 and younger, so 5, 4, 3, right? They start repeating after a certain while. So in fact, we have a 0 with this Eau de Toilette, but the 0 was 2016. And then we jump into the Eau de Parfum. The one I bought last year was 7701. Insane. I still love them to bits. This is the crazy thing about Chanel. Like, they have this sneaky way of changing stuff, of maybe even watering stuff down, of maybe even trying to maximize their profits. They have this way of finding ways to, they win. They always win in the end, right? But no matter how much they push it, like, they still deliver something that is amazing. This is what boggles the mind to me, because I'm not saying, we're talking, this is the highest quality, okay, of fragrances that you could get. So I'm not saying of these 4, oh, this one is shit and this one is real good. They're all amazing. They're just all very different. But we're always in the high quality, right? They just decide sometimes, well, in this decade, perfumes need to be less concentrated for whatever reason. In that decade, we want them to be more strong because that works better for our clientele, or whatever reason they might have. So what I'm saying is, it's also very fascinating to me to go on this journey of Sycomore and delve into the different facets of it. And as this perfume evolves throughout the years, I'm there for every step of the way. I'm not a big fan of the Eau de Parfum from 2017 onwards, but even though I didn't purchase it, I still have a ton of samples of the batches as they were releasing them every year. I would always get samples. I would always get the 4 milliliter samples or the spray samples. I have a ton of Sycomore samples. So I have the evolution of that perfume even from 2016 up to 2022. And then I purchased the bottle in 2022, the Eau de Parfum bottle in 2022. And in fact, I got 2 bottles of the Parfum, because it's the first release, and you know they're going to change and tweak the formulas as well. So if you like a perfume and that has just been released, I always recommend stocking up on it, because chances are, what you loved in the beginning, you're not gonna have it in the end. So food for thought. But after all is said and done, I still do recommend getting the current version of Sycomore, albeit a lighter version of itself, and really, really expensive, but it's still masterful. I would still recommend it. I know it's insane how much money they want for these perfumes now. We're going into the $500 territory for the 200 mLs pretty soon. Damn you, Chanel. But I can't live without it. So what am I supposed to do? You can't always hunt them down secondhand. And truth be told, Sycomore on the secondhand market costs a pretty penny, sometimes more than actually it costs at Chanel to buy a brand new full bottle. So it's like, if you want your fix of the Les Exclusifs, you're going to have to squish that coin from time to time. This just means that we're going to be purchasing less in the future because they cost more. But I can't stop buying my Les Exclusifs. That's my final, this is kind of like those last joys left in my life. They've taken everything else away from me. Like, you can't take away these babies from me. They give me so much happiness and joy. Like, as greedy as they are, I'm hooked because they're just so amazing. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this review, this new kind of updated comparison review of all the Sycomore since I've hunted from my treasure chest this little beauty here that's been kind of missing in action for several years. Oh my gosh, you know what? Last thing I want to do, I want to actually take a photo of this oily, it's still oily here. And I'm going to try to show you the photo so that you can see how it glistens. Hold on. Let me just try to. It's insane. Oh my God. Okay, let me show you. Like, I am shocked. Shocked, you guys. I hope you can see this. Look, it literally looks as if I have oil on my fist. You see how it reflects the light, how it glistens? Do you see how, and this is like what, like how long has this video been now? My gosh, like 30 minutes. And it still hasn't absorbed. Amazing. No words. Chanel, you did us dirty by watering this stuff down. You did us dirty by upping the prices. But we still love these perfumes so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below and subscribe. Never give up on love.